Welcome to today's art video. Today we're going to be painting a beach and some cliffs using water-based paint. To begin, you'll need a palette and something to paint on. I'm using paper specially designed for oil painting. You can use canvas. The rest of the materials are listed in the description below. We'll use several brushes, a filbert brush, a flat brush, 2 angle shaders, a round bristle brush. So for the sky we'll use some white, lemon yellow and crimson with a touch of cadmium red mixed together. Using the flat part of the brush we can make some small strokes. I'm starting at the top of the paper and working down and making a darker shade by adding more crimson and a bit of lemon yellow. Using a little white we can lighten the colour and spread it along. We can also add some more water. Adding more water will thin the paint, so you might not want to add too much of that. And we'll continue like this until the top section of the paper is filled in. And we'll vary the amounts of each colour, with the strokes becoming a bit sparse or spread out the further down we go. Now using ceruleum blue, white and turquoise, this blue is for the sky. I'm starting just above the sea, about 1/3 of the way down the picture, or just under halfway down, and drawing a faint line for the sea and filling in the gap above. I'm using the edge of the brush sideways and making a line where the sky meets the top of the cliffs. Roughly after halfway across, it slopes down to the sea, and I'm using white to spread the colour. A bit of blue reaching up higher into the sky, just dabbing here and there. then brightening up the area, the transition area between the peachy pink and the blue by using white and the lighter tones. For the start of the sea, I'm going to use French Ultramarine, Coeruleum Blue, White and Primary Cyan, and I'm doing a horizontal line from left to right. Then using the flat part of the brush for a broad stroke of colour. Some white mixed with turquoise for the area beneath the cliffs, close to the beach, and making a point where the sea comes in using the edge of the brush again. All the blues and a bit of white to make a darker blue. This is where the sea is much deeper. For the cliffs, I'm going to make a green using French Ultramarine, Lemon Yellow, Yellow Ochre and Primary Cyan. Carefully stroking the brush across, creating a bumpy curve, a naturalistic outline for the land. Colour to use along the top of the rocks. We're going to use yellow ochre, white and cadmium red. Using the brush sideways on. Some white and lemon yellow below the grassy area for the cliffs in a distance. Now a darker edge above the cliffs using Primary Cyan and making dark patches as well on the land. Some violet and white to give shape to the hills, an indication of other plants. Now mixing some primary cyan and French ultramarine to darken in between. Adding some white for highlights. Switching brushes to work on the sea using turquoise and white. And a little cerulean blue and white. To make a greeny shade for the shallow water near the shore, I'm mixing in some lemon yellow, and mixed with the blue it will make a nice bright light green, the kind of green that you'd see in warmer waters. Adding some white foam close to the cliffs and the water's edge, blending in with the blue, leaving some bits of white and blending the rest to make lighter shades in the water, and this will make the waves. Adding different blue and green tones, I've also added some water to allow the paint to spread easily. More of the vibrant light green, and this is to make some waves in the middle of the painting. A bit more turquoise, and you can see the transition between the darker blue, the turquoise and the green. Some turquoise, lemon yellow and white, a bit more yellow. Now blending the colour and moving across to the left hand side. I've made the edge of the wave shape by leaving some white space. Now I'm going to add some white to create a ridge for the waves, and a few little strokes here and there. This is making the ridge by using a flat part of the brush, adding a bit of colour either side. Using a good amount of cerulean blue and a bit of white and lemon yellow and turquoise, I'm creating a darker green shade on the left hand side of the waves, and it will be lighter on the other side. We're now going to use some white to make the foam of the waves, particularly where we have the different colours meeting, the blue and the light green. First the ridge, and then stroking some backwards. And I'll create these little half moon shapes by flicking the brush. Now you can see the irregular shape of the waves. It's almost a diagonal line, a wavy line, as the sea comes in towards the shore. Using some French ultramarine, yellow ochre and lemon yellow, we're going to make a dark green for the top of the cliff in the foreground, or I should say the midground. I'm doing a wavy line, it's undulating and sloping down towards the sea. Making a lighter shade of green with more yellow, some primary cyan, and blending this in just below. Some yellow ochre and white on the top ridge, and coming down as a highlight, brushing downwards in a random fashion. And at the bottom we'll have the cliff itself and some rocks. Using some lemon yellow, a bit of violet, white and crimson, some random patches of lemon yellow and white, some primary cyan, white, crimson and green to make a greyish hue for the cliffs, starting at the top and going up to the edge of the grass. Working along and adding some additional primary cyan and crimson and white. Some more yellow ochre with white and green, adding French ultramarine, white, and using this colour to cover some of the areas of the cliff face, making vertical strokes. Using primary cyan, ultramarine, using crimson, violet, a bit of the green will make a very dark shadow colour for the jagged rocks of the cliff face. I'll make different shapes for the shadow, reaching into the corners, into the pointed areas, the recess. Some rocks at the bottom. A few strokes on the dark side to give it more shape, and we'll do this all the way along, sometimes using the flat part of the brush and sometimes using the edge of the brush for thinner lines. The opposite, a colour for the sunlit side, using yellow ochre, white and cadmium red, and working my way along the ridges and the rocks between the dark shadows. Some extra white, this time using a flat bristle brush to make a colour for the sand, using yellow ochre, white, red and crimson in varying amounts. A bit of lemon yellow, For the wet sand, I'm using a little violet, crimson and white and making a darker patch or two. Now adding some shape to the rocks. switching to a round bristle brush to make some extra white for the foam. This is for the waves splashing against the rocks. A quick brush backwards, spreading only the tiniest amount in curved strokes. A bit of turquoise for the shadow areas of the wave. And now, for the final part, a few grasses in the foreground. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for watching and for supporting the channel.